Hello everyone, this is Wager Detective here, November 9th, 2025. We're going to cap this Steelers versus Chargers game. The Steelers are at the Chargers. In the last 15 games, the Steelers are 10-5 versus the Chargers, and they're 4-3 the last 7 at the Chargers. The last meeting was in 2024. You notice how they're winning, losing, winning, losing, winning, losing, winning, winning, losing. So between the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, last 7 meetings, they're winning and losing, alternating wins and losses. Last game was at home for the Steelers, where they won 20-10, and the last 2 meetings the last 3 meetings at the Chargers, the Steelers are 2-1, scoring 24 points apiece exactly in the last 2 meetings at San Diego, beating them by 7 and beating them by 4. So about 5.5 points per game margin. Last 2 wins at the Chargers, and then they beat the Chargers in Pittsburgh 20-10 last year. So it's a little bit of a revenge spot for the Chargers here, losing to the Steelers last year in Pittsburgh. Okay, as we go to Pittsburgh, let's see what we got here. Let's see what they've done this year. We know about Mike Tomlin, all-time great. Arthur Smith running the offense over there, first year offensive coordinator, was the Atlanta Falcons coach for 3 years, and now he's he's calling the plays over there for the Steelers on offense. If we look at their defensive coordinator, Terrell Austin, okay, he's been a defensive coordinator for 9 years now. He spent 4 years in Detroit, a year in Cincinnati, and he spent the last 4 years in Pittsburgh. Seems like a middle-of-the-pack guy. This year, the Steelers are 15th in plus-minus points, and they're 30th in plus-minus yards defensively. Okay, so they're not having the greatest year, not having the worst year. Let's see what they've done this year. If you look at their SRS minus 0.37 and not the toughest schedule, minus 1.24, they are 18th in the NFL as far as their SRS is concerned. And if we look at what they've done this year and how they score, 17 passing touchdowns. Rodgers is having a pretty solid year with 17 passing touchdowns and rushing. They only got 5 rushing touchdowns this year. They got it going last week against the Colts. They had 2 rushing touchdowns, but let's not forget the Colts did have 6 turnovers in that game. So if you look at what they've done on the ground here, they only have 2 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. But passing the ball, they have 9 passing touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. So they're getting the ball in the end zone by passing the ball more than rushing. But we look at who they've played. 2 of those games were against Cleveland and Cincinnati, where they split a win and a loss there. They lost to Green Bay at home, and then they beat the Colts last week by scoring by the Colts, like I said, 6 turnovers in that game. So anytime you have 6, and you only won by a touchdown there. So now you're going to the Chargers. Let's see what they've done defensive, what teams have done to them, to the Steelers defense. The Steelers have been scored on 15 times through the air, 14 times through the air, and then they've been rushed on 6 times for only 6 rushing touchdowns against that Steelers defense, giving up a rushing touchdown in the last 2 weeks, but primarily getting beat in the air. I mean, look, 7 passing touchdowns against them in the last 3 weeks: Cincinnati, Green Bay, and the Colts. And at home this year, they're 2-1, 2-2. They're 3-2 at home this year, and on the road they're 2-0, 2-1 on the road. So not a bad team. Let's see what they've done. Hold on. Let's see what they've done as far as stats and what stands out. And yards, they're 30th in defense in the NFL in giving up yards per game, and they're 28th in yards on offense. If we go further, they do have 8 they have 8 interceptions on defense. That puts them at 6th in the NFL. So they got some ball hawks over there that are getting some turnovers for them. If you look at where they start, they're number 1 in the NFL in average drive. Where they start their average drive from, they start their average drive from the 34-yard line for first best in the NFL, and their special teams allows their opponents to start their average drive from the 27, so that ranks them 2nd in the NFL. So pretty good special teams there as far as where they start their drives and where Pittsburgh allows their opponents to start the drive. As far as average drive in yards, they're 28th in the NFL, averaging 27 yards per drive, and they're dead last, allowing their opponents to get 38 yards per drive when they have the ball. So, it's a mixed bag. If we look at Rodgers, 17 passing touchdowns, 5 interceptions on the year. That's pretty solid. Pretty solid metrics there from Rodgers. And offensively on the ground, Jaylen Warren's got 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Gainwell's got 3, but that's the only scores they got on the ground this year. Only 5 rushing touchdowns. So that could be a problem, going forward. If you look at what they do in the air, DK Metcalf, that's what they got him from Seattle for, the Ole Miss product. 5 receiving touchdowns. He is number 1 on the team in yards and number 1 on the team in reception. So that's his main guy that Rodgers is looking for right there. And he leads the team in first downs with 21 as we see his metrics there. And Calvin Austin's got 2 touchdowns. Jonnu Smith has got 2. So they can move it in the air. Kicking, Chris Boswell having a pretty good year, 16 to 18. He's 6 from 7 for 50 plus, solid, and puts him at about 89% on the field goals. Punting, Corliss Waltman, 28 punts on the year, about 48 yards per punt, and then he's getting the ball inside the 20, 36% of his punts are landing inside the 20 there. Defensively, we look at what they do. They got 8 interceptions. That's not great. It's not bad. Let's see what they got going here. Passes deflected, 51. They got 11 forced fumbles and 11 fumble recoveries. 27 sacks, 43 tackles for loss, and 70 quarterback hits. So they can get pressure on the quarterback at times. Let's see what they've done, Vegas lines, as far as covering spreads. As a dog this year, they're 2-1 as a dog. And in their last 6 games, they are 4-2 against the spread. As a dog this year, they're 1-1 in their last 2 games. They're 2-1 in their last. They're 2-1 this year covering the spread as a dog. One was at home, and actually both their times that they covered as a dog this year was at home. So over under this year, they have 5 overs and 3 unders. In the last 4 weeks, they have 2 unders and 2 overs. So not much to glean there. I want to take a look and see where that total is set for tonight. It is 44.5. And if you look at their totals this year, what happened here? Okay, 44.5. They've gone over that number 1, 2, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2. They've gone over 44.5 6 times to 2 unders for the total that's set tonight. Okay, let's take a look at who they'll be playing tonight, and that'll be the LA Chargers. So they're coming off 2 home games where they were 1-1, and now they're going to go to the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh has got his team looking good. Chargers 6-3. You look at the SRS at 1.00 for 16th best in the NFL. Not a tough schedule per se at minus 1.45 on the SOS. And then if you look at what you look at what they do. I want to try to get the screen a little brighter here. You look at what they do. They're not really. I mean, you look at yards. They're fifth in the NFL in total yards, and their defense is sixth in total yards. So they're top 10 offensively in yards and top 10 defensively in yards, giving up yards. And where else do they shine at? Teams rush on them for the third lowest in the NFL. And they are fourth in the NFL in scoring percentage. That's pretty solid. Their average drive time is second in the NFL with 3.23 minutes per drive. And they're second in the NFL plays per drive. So with about 7 plays per drive. So they chew clock. And I want to see what they do as far as the red zone. They're 26 in the red zone. So with those metrics right there, it's already leaning me towards an under. With that, they're defensively, they're fourth in the NFL in red zone defense. They've allowed opponents to get inside the red zone 29 times and only given up 14 touchdowns. So that's fourth best in the NFL. Now look at this. Third down percentage offense for the Chargers, they're number 1. They convert the third down at the highest rate in the NFL, and they don't give up the third down conversion all that much on defense. They're top 10 there, sitting at 8th. So that's pretty solid. We look at Justin Herbert, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I'd like to think that he'll clean up those interceptions as he's going along here. Touchdowns on the ground. They do have 4 rushing touchdowns, which isn't a lot. Marion Hampton, the North Carolina product, has 2 to lead the team there. And then receiving, they have, wow, look at this, 18 receiving touchdowns, and it's a mix of guys. You'd like to see that with an offense. Ladd McConkey's got 3, Keenan Allen's got 4, Quentin Johnston's got 6, Gadsden's got 2, and a few guys that got a touchdown there as well. So, but if you look at the safety blanket for Justin Herbert, you look at those top 4 guys right there, McConkey, Allen, Johnston, and Gadsden. Those are the guys he's looking for to get the first down, and also who he's targeting the most. Those guys, McConkey, Allen, Johnston, and Gadsden. Okay, kicking wise. Okay, Cameron Dicker is the kicker there. He's 5 for 6 from 40 to 49, and he's 2 for 2 from 50 plus. Look at that, 95% field goal percentage, 20 for 21. So, I mean, both these field goal kickers are good, but you look at those numbers, you got to give it to Cameron Dicker there as the guy that gets it done a little bit more. J.K. Scott, the punter, 24 punts this year. His average punt is 50.4, so they got the edge there. Only 33% of his punts are landing inside the 20-yard line. Net yards per punt, 40.5, not bad. Guys are returning the ball about 10 yards every time he punts the ball. Defensively, we look at the Chargers, and let's see what they've done. 7 interceptions, not great. Okay, Steelers got them there. And then if we look at forced fumbles, they only got four fumble recoveries, 26 sacks on the year, 46 tackles for loss, 49 quarterback hits. So they can get to the quarterback if they need to. Let's take a look at the scoring summary. Last week they had 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rush. But if you look at their last let's start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Their last 7 touchdowns, 5 of them have been pass and 2 have been rush. So it shows that they're, I mean, look even going back to here, look at how they get in the end zone. I mean, they're primarily a passing team to get in the end zone. In their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In their last 13 touchdowns that they've scored, 11 of them have come by the pass. So they're primarily getting in the end zone by passing. Let's take a look at the Vegas line, see what they've done. As a favorite this year, they're 2-5. Now I know that doesn't look good when they're favored, right? But again, those things come back. The regression to the mean is going to come back to that as the season goes along. And if you look in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're 1-5 in their last 6 against the spread. And all those games they were favored, right? We go back to this game right here, and at the Giants, they're 1-6 in their last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 1-5 in their last 6 against the spread, covering as a favorite. So that's not really that good, right? Against the Giants, against the Redskins, against Miami, against the Colts, against Minnesota, against Tennessee. I mean, and if you look at their over-unders in that span, they've had 4 overs and 2 unders to what the line was. So again, as we looked at it, the total tonight is 44.5, and they've gone over that total. Their games have gone over 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, 1-4, 2-4, 3-4, 3-5, 3-6 on the year. So they're 3 over and 6 under on the year to that number that they have tonight, that 44.5. Again, that's a little misleading. I think there's going to be points tonight. I think if we look at the Chargers, I mean, they've had a tougher schedule. They are at home. Pittsburgh's coming off that big win against the Colts last week. Colts had 6 turnovers, and the Steelers still only won by 7 points. Now they're going on the road. I definitely think that there'll be some points scored tonight. Both teams like to pass the ball to get in the end zone. Both teams don't have a lot of rushing touchdowns. You know, when you pass the ball, you're either going to get completions or the clock's going to stop from incomplete passes. I think, you know, you look at their game last week, the last 2 weeks for the Chargers have gone over that total, 44.5. And they're coming off the road. Let's see who the Chargers have played the last. So in their last 4 weeks, they played Tennessee, Minnesota, the Colts, and Miami. This is a really tough game to look at. I mean, if you look what they do in the last 2 weeks, in the last 4 weeks, they only got 2 rushing touchdowns. But in the last 4 weeks, they've had 10 passing touchdowns against teams that I don't think are on the same level defensively as the Steelers. So it's going to be a little bit harder to come by. And then teams have scored have only 8 passing touchdowns against the Chargers this year. So you're not getting in through the air. And then on the ground, teams have 10 rushing touchdowns on the year. But the last 2 weeks, the Chargers have not given up any rushing touchdowns, and they've only given up 1 passing touchdown. So they've only given up 1 touchdown in the last 2 weeks. That is against Minnesota and Tennessee. They're not teams to write home about. The more I think about it, I think, you know, this could lead to an under game. I mean, Pittsburgh coming off a home win. Now they're going on the road. The Steelers are coming off the road. Now they're coming home. Both teams might be a first half type of game where you take a look at the under. I would lean there. Let me see what the first half under is in this game I'm kind of curious because I think that might be the strongest play that we have here. Let's go to first half. Let's see if we can find that here. Try to keep this under 20 minutes. Ultimate total points. All right, first half total is sitting at 23.5. They got it shaded at -130 on the under 23.5. I know it's a little chalky, but if I was looking at a play for this game, I think that one stands out to me the most in this situation. So I'm not going to force anything on the full game or the spread. But I do like the under first half in this game to go under 23.5 at -130. I think that might be the strongest play in this game. So that's what we'll go with. Wager Detective 2-0 today on his plays, 4-0 this weekend. So that's the play we're going to go with. We're going to go with under 23.5 in the first half of this Chargers and Steelers game under 23.5 at minus 130. If I was to lean aside, I think it's just too tough to call. I mean, it really is. I mean, like we said, the Chargers are 1-5 in their last 6 as a favorite, covering the spread, and the Steelers are 10-5 in their last 15 against the Chargers. And I mean, the more I look at it, the Steelers could cover this, but I'm gonna that's gonna be my final call here. I'm not gonna hem and haw about this, but under 23.5 at minus 130 between the Chargers and Steelers. That's the call here. Wager Detective. November 9th, 2025, here from Atlantic City, 6:48 p.m. Under 23.5 for the first half in the Chargers-Steelers game. I'll talk to you soon. Hope to see you in the winner's circle.